Hey guys, I spent a good 3 hours this morning writing a blog. It's an open letter to evangelical parents. I think that the hardest thing, or one of the hardest things about walking away from your faith, losing your faith, leaving your faith, however you want to word it, I think one of the hardest things is the position that it puts us in with our parents. Those of us that end up losing our faith have such a desire to be real and authentic, especially with our family, but we fear that telling our parents what's happened with our faith will ruin our relationship. And if you look at what actually happens when an individual goes to their parents in the evangelical community and tells them that they've had a change of heart or a change of mind, or they're not able or capable to believe anymore, it totally destroys their relationship with their parents and other people in their family that are still evangelical. Depending on how tightly those individuals that are still in the faith hold to their beliefs. I know that's been one of the hardest things for me, is things definitely aren't the same since I believe different. So this letter addresses that issue. It it tells evangelical parents in general how we are feeling as their adult children when they choose not to accept us, and it also addresses the issue of paradigms and how our parents got to create their identity if they grew up in the probably 50s, if they were born around in the 50s and they got to experience the Jesus movement that happened in the late 60s and 70s and 80s. That's the time that they were raising us. And so we were born into the Jesus movement, which caused Christianity to be our entire identity. And because that was our entire identity and we weren't allowed to consider anything else, we knew nothing else, we grew up to be young adults and middle-aged adults that eventually somehow a lot of us realized that we experienced what's called identity foreclosure. And most of us, I think, don't actually know those terms. I know it from studying psychology a year ago. But what happens is we end up taking on the identity that our parents assigned us, and we don't realize that we didn't get to explore and pick and create what we wanted to be according to our personality. We didn't see that there was any other way. We were taught, this is who you are and this is what you'll be, unless you want to suffer some consequences, religious wise anyway. And so that really puts a damper on things. It really radically alters your life when you realize that you experienced identity foreclosure. But it also talks about how our decisions that we make have nothing to do with our parents. It's not about them at all. And in fact, a lot of times we don't choose to go the opposite direction in our faith. We don't choose to, nobody chooses to purposely lose your identity or just walk away from your community entirely. That's just not human nature to disconnect yourself like that. But our parents don't understand that we don't necessarily initiate that process on purpose. Anyway, so I wrote a letter, an open letter to our evangelical parents, and if you want to check it out, I'll put the link below for my blog, and you can go there and see what I have to say. So it may or may not be, exactly like your story. This is my perspective, and that's another thing it addresses, though. It's okay to have different perspectives. It's okay to not agree on things. We can still have a good relationship, and that's really what I think a lot of us are longing to have with our parents, is to be able to have differences in faith and beliefs and whatever else you might have a difference in, and still just be fully unconditionally accepted and to be valued and validated. And so I encourage you all to go check it out. Have a good day.